Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unearth fascinating insights from a collection of sources.
Right.
Today, we're exploring the mysteries of the Book of Enoch, delving into the secrets of the Watchers and their forbidden knowledge.
What makes the Book of Enoch so compelling is that it offers this glimpse into a world of fallen angels and a pre-flood society teeming with secrets.
It's like peeking behind the curtain of the traditional biblical narrative, right?
Yeah.
And these fallen angels, the Watchers, their actions seem to have had profound consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
According to the Book of Enoch, these watchers descended upon Mount Hermon, and that's not just any random mountain.
Right. Mount Hermon has this long history in religious traditions.
It's often seen as this mythical meeting place of gods.
Oh, wow.
A point where heaven and earth converge. So the fact that the Watchers chose this specific location adds another layer of intrigue to their story.
It's like they were deliberately crossing a boundary.
Yes, and the text suggests that their descent was a transgression, a violation of the divine order.
And this is where the concept of forbidden knowledge comes in, right?
Yes.
The Watchers didn't just hang out on Mount Hermon. They shared secrets with humans.
They revealed things that were meant to remain hidden. Knowledge of enchantments, astrology, and other esoteric arts.
Okay, so we've got angels behaving badly, sharing forbidden knowledge with humans.
Right.
What happens next? Does God just let this slide?
Not exactly. The Book of Enoch goes on to detail the consequences of the Watchers' actions, and it's not pretty.
Oh.
Their intermingling with humans leads to the birth of giants and a surge of wickedness and violence in the world.
Hold on. Giants.
Yeah.
Like the ones mentioned in some biblical stories.
That's right. The Book of Enoch describes these giants as offspring of the Watchers and human women, and their presence on Earth contributes to the growing corruption that ultimately leads to the Great Flood.
So the Book of Enoch is basically giving us the backstory to the flood, explaining what led to this cataclysmic event.
Precisely. It adds a layer of understanding to the biblical narrative, suggesting that the flood wasn't simply a random act of God, but a direct response to the transgressions of the Watchers and the chaos they unleashed upon the world.
Now, this is where things get really interesting for me. The Book of Enoch is considered apocryphal, meaning it's not part of the official biblical canon, but there's evidence that it was circulating and even accepted by some early Christians.
Absolutely.
Really?
Early church fathers like Tatian, Irenaeus, and Clement of Alexandria, they actually cited and used Enochian writings in their own theological works.
Wow. So for a time, the Book of Enoch was considered a valuable source of wisdom. What happened? Why did it get excluded from the Bible?
Well, later on, it seems that certain religious authorities began to view the book as problematic, perhaps too radical or challenging to established doctrines.
It does paint a pretty bleak picture of humanity's early days.
And then some of its themes, like fallen angels and forbidden knowledge, may have been seen as threatening to the authority of the church.
So it was denounced, banned, possibly even burned and forgotten for centuries.
It's a fascinating example of how religious texts can be embraced and then rejected, depending on the prevailing cultural and theological climate. And the story doesn't end there.
Tell me more.
Centuries later, the Book of Enoch re-emerged thanks to a remarkable discovery.
I bet you're going to tell me it was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls.
You got it. In the 20th century, Aramaic fragments of the Book of Enoch were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Wow.
This was a huge moment for biblical scholarship. It proved that the book wasn't some late fabrication, but an ancient text dating back centuries.
So it's like the Dead Sea Scrolls gave the Book of Enoch a renewed sense of legitimacy.
Exactly. And it sparked a renewed interest in its contents, leading to more in-depth analysis and interpretation.
It's amazing how these ancient texts can continue to intrigue and challenge us, even thousands of years after they were written.
They offer us these glimpses into the beliefs and anxieties of people who live in a very different world, and they often raise more questions than answers.
That's what makes them so fascinating, right? Now we know that the Watchers faced some serious consequences for their actions. What kind of punishments did they receive?
Well, according to the Book of Enoch, the punishment was swift and severe. God commanded that these angels be bound and cast into darkness, imprisoned for their transgressions. One of the key figures, Azazel, who played a major role in corrupting humanity, received a particularly grim fate.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Tell me more about Azazel's punishment.
The text describes how Azazel is to be bound, hand and foot, cast into a desolate desert and covered with darkness. His face is to be hidden from the light, and on the day of judgment he will be cast into fire.
Wow, talk about a fall from grace. That's a pretty dramatic depiction of divine judgment.
It really underscores the gravity of the Watcher's actions and the consequences of defying the divine order.
It makes you wonder what these watchers were thinking, right? What motivated them to rebel against God and share these forbidden secrets with humanity?
That's a question that has intrigued scholars for centuries. Some believe that the Watchers were driven by lust or a desire for power. Others see their actions as a form of rebellion against God's authority.
Perhaps it was a combination of factors, a complex interplay of motivations that led them down this path.
Exactly. And that's part of what makes the Book of Enoch so captivating. It doesn't offer simple answers, but instead presents us with a complex and thought-provoking narrative that continues to resonate with readers today.
It definitely leaves us with a lot to ponder. So we've established that the Watchers face severe punishment for their actions. But what about their offspring, those giants who were born from their union with human women?
The Book of Enoch suggests that the giants also faced judgment and destruction. They were seen as symbols of the corruption that had spread throughout the world, and their presence contributed to the need for a divine cleansing.
And that cleansing, of course, came in the form of the Great Flood.
Exactly. The flood is depicted as a necessary act of purification, a way to wipe the slate clean and start anew.
So the Book of Enoch presents this interconnected narrative where the actions of the Watchers, the birth of the giants, and the Great Flood are all linked together as part of a larger cosmic drama.
It's a story of transgression, judgment, and ultimately redemption. The flood, while devastating, also paves the way for a new beginning for humanity, a chance to learn from the mistakes of the past and build a more righteous future.
And in this context, Noah emerges as a central figure, a beacon of righteousness amidst the prevailing corruption. He's chosen to survive the flood and carry the torch of humanity forward.
The Book of Enoch provides a fascinating account of Noah's role in this divine plan. He's portrayed as a righteous man, chosen by God to preserve the human lineage and rebuild a world purged of its wickedness.
So the Book of Enoch doesn't just tell us about the Watchers and the giants. It also sheds light on Noah's story, giving us a deeper understanding of his significance in this ancient narrative.
It's like a missing piece of the puzzle that helps us to make sense of the larger biblical narrative.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far. We've uncovered a hidden history of fallen angels, explored the concept of forbidden knowledge, and witnessed the consequences of their actions. And we've begun to understand how these events connect to the familiar story of Noah and the Great Flood.
But our exploration doesn't end there. The Book of Enoch goes on to describe the visions and prophecies of Enoch himself, offering a glimpse into the workings of the cosmos and the mysteries of the divine realm.
I can't wait to hear more about Enoch's experiences. We'll delve into those in our next segment. Stay tuned, because this journey is just getting started. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Book of Enoch. We've been talking about the Watchers, their fall from grace, and the catastrophic consequences of their actions. But now let's shift our focus to Enoch himself, the man who supposedly received these visions and recorded these ancient secrets.
Enoch is a truly enigmatic figure. In the traditional biblical narrative, he's this mysterious patriarch who walked with God and was taken up to heaven without experiencing death.
Right. There's that tantalizingly brief mention of him in Genesis, but the Book of Enoch expands on his story in a remarkable way.
It portrays Enoch as a prophet, a scribe, and a visionary who's granted access to the secrets of the cosmos and the divine realm.
So he's not just a passive observer. He's actively engaged with these supernatural forces and receiving knowledge directly from God and the angels.
Exactly. And his visions are central to the Book of Enoch. They offer a window into the ancient worldview, a way of understanding the forces at play in the universe and the relationship between humanity and the divine.
All right, let's talk about those visions. What kind of things did Enoch see and experience during these mystical journeys?
Well, in one vision, Enoch is taken to a place called the Garden of Righteousness.
Oh.
It's described as this paradise-like realm, a place of peace and abundance where the righteous will dwell after the final judgment.
It sounds like a vision of heaven, or at least a realm where those who have lived virtuous lives will find solace and reward.
Yes, and it contrasts sharply with the descriptions of the punishments that await the wicked. Enoch also describes seeing celestial portals, gateways through which angels ascend and descend from heaven.
So he's getting a glimpse into the hidden workings of the cosmos, the movement of angels, and the interplay between the earthly and the divine realms.
He's also shown the movements of the stars and planets and given knowledge about the celestial calendar and the cycles of time.
Wow.
It's like he's receiving this ancient astronomical wisdom.
It's amazing to think that these ancient texts contain such detailed descriptions of the cosmos and the workings of the universe.
It speaks to the human fascination with the heavens and our desire to understand our place in the grand scheme of things.
Now, one of the things that really intrigues me about the Book of Enoch is its focus on prophecy and judgment.
Mm.
We know that the Watchers face punishment for their actions,
Right.
but what about humanity as a whole? Does Enoch offer any insight into the fate that awaits us?
He does.
No.
The Book of Enoch contains several prophecies about the coming judgment and the establishment of a new world order. Enoch sees visions of a future savior, a messianic figure who will come to judge the wicked and usher in an era of peace and righteousness.
So these concepts that are central to both Judaism and Christianity, the idea of a Messiah and a final judgment, are already present in this ancient text.
It's fascinating to see how these ideas evolved over time and how they were interpreted by different religious traditions.
The Book of Enoch seems to suggest that history is moving toward a climactic moment, a time of reckoning and renewal.
That's a common theme in apocalyptic literature,
Yeah.
this sense of an impending crisis followed by a transformation of the world.
It makes you wonder if those who wrote and read these texts felt like they were living in a time of great upheaval and uncertainty.
Well, they were certainly living in a world that was very different from our own, a world where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural seemed much more fluid.
We've been talking a lot about the Book of Enoch, but you mentioned earlier that there's another text, the Book of Giants, that's often found alongside it. Can you tell me more about this companion text and how it relates to the Enochian narrative?
The Book of Giants, while only fragments of it have survived, provides further insights into the story of the Watchers and their offspring, the Giants.
Right.
It seems to focus on the Giants' perspective, their dreams, their anxieties, and their awareness of the impending judgment.
So it's like getting the other side of the story, the perspective of those who were seen as the enemies of God and humanity.
Exactly. And it adds a layer of complexity to the narrative. It suggests that the Giants weren't just mindless monsters, but beings capable of experiencing fear, regret, and even a sense of spiritual awareness.
That's really interesting. It humanizes them in a way and makes their eventual fate seem even more tragic.
In some of the fragments, the Giants even attempt to seek forgiveness from Enoch. They recognize the gravity of their transgressions and the consequences that await them.
It's like they're trying to find a way out of their predicament, but they know deep down that their fate is sealed.
The Book of Giants seems to reinforce the themes of judgment and accountability that are central to the Book of Enoch. It suggests that no one can escape the consequences of their actions.
It's a sobering thought, but also a reminder that our choices have meaning and that we are all ultimately responsible for our actions.
The Book of Enoch and the Book of Giants taken together paint a vivid picture of a world grappling with the consequences of sin and the promise of redemption. It's a narrative that continues to fascinate and challenge us today, offering insights into the human condition and our enduring search for meaning and purpose.
This has been an incredible journey so far. We've explored the mysteries of the Watchers, delved into Enoch's visionary experiences, and gained a glimpse into the world of the Giants. But our exploration of the Book of Enoch isn't over yet. There's still so much more to uncover.
In our next segment, we'll delve into one of the most intriguing aspects of the Book of Enoch: its depiction of the afterlife, the realms of heaven and hell, and the final judgment that awaits all humanity.
Stay tuned, because we're about to enter uncharted territory. The realm of the dead, as envisioned by the ancient prophet Enoch. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been on this incredible journey through the Book of Enoch, exploring the mysteries of the Watchers, their forbidden knowledge, and the events that led to the Great Flood. Now we're about to enter, perhaps, the most mysterious realm of all, the afterlife, as described by Enoch.
You know, when we think about the afterlife, we often have these preconceived notions influenced by our own cultural and religious backgrounds.
Right.
But the Book of Enoch offers a unique and often surprising perspective on what awaits us beyond this earthly existence.
So what's Enoch's take on the afterlife? Does it align with the traditional views of heaven and hell?
Well, it's more nuanced than that. Enoch's visions reveal a complex and multi-layered afterlife with different realms and destinies for the departed souls.
Okay, so it's not just a simple binary of reward and punishment.
Not exactly. Enoch describes visiting a place called Sheol, which is often translated as the underworld or the pit. This is where the spirits of the dead reside, awaiting judgment.
That sounds a bit like the Greek concept of Hades or the Hebrew understanding of Sheol as a shadowy place where the dead exist in this in-between state.
There are definitely parallels there. But Enoch goes further, describing different sections within Sheol, some reserved for the righteous and others for the wicked.
So even within Sheol, there's a sense of order and separation.
Yes. The souls of the righteous are kept apart from those who lived wickedly, and each group awaits a different fate. It suggests a system of divine justice that extends beyond this earthly life.
So it's not just about what we do in this life, but also about what awaits us in the next.
That's a key theme in the Book of Enoch. It emphasizes the idea of accountability and the everlasting consequences of our actions.
Now, what about heaven? Does Enoch give us any glimpses into the celestial realms?
He does. He describes experiencing multiple heavens, each filled with angels and radiant beings. He witnesses the throne of God surrounded by a countless host of heavenly creatures, praising and glorifying the divine.
It sounds like an awe-inspiring vision, a glimpse into the splendor and majesty of the divine realm.
And it reinforces the idea that the afterlife is not just about punishment or reward, it's also about drawing closer to God and experiencing the fullness of his presence.
We've talked about judgment a few times now. Does the Book of Enoch offer any details about what this final judgment will entail?
Enoch has visions of a grand assize, where all souls will be judged according to their deeds. He sees books being opened, containing records of every thought, word, and action, and he witnesses the separation of the righteous from the wicked, each receiving their just deserts.
So it's a kind of cosmic reckoning where all is revealed and the scales of justice are balanced.
Exactly. The Book of Enoch emphasizes that no one can escape this final judgment, and that the consequences of one's actions will have eternal repercussions.
It's a sobering thought, but it also speaks to the importance of living a righteous life, knowing that our actions have lasting significance.
Right. The Book of Enoch, while focusing on the mysteries of the afterlife and the drama of divine judgment, ultimately offers a message of hope. It assures us that righteousness will prevail, that evil will be vanquished, and that a new era of peace and justice will dawn.
So even though it's this ancient text dealing with these weighty topics, there's still this underlying message of hope and the possibility of redemption.
Absolutely. And that's something that I think continues to resonate with people today.
Yeah.
This idea that even in the face of darkness and judgment, there's always the possibility for transformation and a brighter future.
This deep dive into the Book of Enoch has been truly eye-opening. We've explored its hidden history, delved into its profound teachings, and grappled with its complex and sometimes challenging ideas.
It's a text that continues to intrigue and inspire, prompting us to question our assumptions about the world, the nature of good and evil, and the mysteries of the afterlife.
What do you find most compelling about the Book of Enoch? Does it challenge your own beliefs or perspectives?
For me, it's the way the Book of Enoch weaves together history, mythology, and prophecy. It presents a grand narrative that attempts to make sense of the human condition and our place in the cosmos.
It's a reminder that these ancient texts aren't just dusty relics. They contain wisdom and insights that can still speak to us today.
And they invite us to engage in this ongoing conversation about the big questions that have haunted humanity for centuries: the nature of good and evil, the meaning of life, and the mysteries of what lies beyond.
If you're intrigued by the Book of Enoch, we encourage you to explore it further. There's a whole world of ancient wisdom waiting to be discovered. And who knows, maybe you'll find your own unique insights and interpretations along the way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Book of Enoch. We hope you found it enlightening and thought-provoking. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the world around us.